Your market update for Phoenix Metro in August of 2020 starts right now. Hey everyone, I'm Caitlin McKegg, a realtor here in Phoenix, Arizona. Thanks so much for coming to my channel where I talk about Phoenix real estate as well as everything going on in Phoenix and what you need to know if you're moving to Phoenix. I provide monthly market updates and weekly updates for the real estate market here in Phoenix, and today I'm talking about what happened in August. Before I dive into that data, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post new videos every Friday, so you don't want to miss what I'm posting, and make sure you keep up to date. You can also check out my social media channels where I post a lot of helpful information for people looking to move to Phoenix or thinking about buying or selling in Phoenix. All of this information comes from the data in our MLS here in Phoenix, and I subscribe to the Cromford Report that looks at all of that data, puts it together in some awesome charts and graphs, and helps me as a realtor share that information with you. So thank you to the Cromford Report for all that you do. Okay, starting with some general statistics. This is all compared to August of 2019. Our active listings are down by 38%. As compared to our listings under contract, which is actually up by 18%. The monthly median sales price is up 12.5%, and that number is sitting at $315,000. Our closed sales are up by 10%, and our months of housing supply is sitting at 1.3 months. Okay, let's break down those numbers a little bit. So how is it possible that our active listings are down 38%, but our listings under contract are up 18%? Well, that goes to show you that we have more homes under contract than we actually have available for sale. As I mentioned, our closed sales are also up. So we're doing more activity this August than we were last August, but we still don't have a whole lot of homes available compared to the number of buyers looking to buy them. Which then brings me to our months of supply number, which is sitting at 1.3. What this means is that if no new homes were to come on the market for sale, we would run out of all available homes for sale in 1.3 months. A balanced market has 6 months of inventory. Let that sink in for a second. So those are the overall numbers as we compare with August of 2019. But here are some updates that are new compared to what I reported in July. Just in at the end of August, we're seeing our CMI start to plateau. And I've talked about CMI in other videos. The CMI is a set of market indicators that are used to measure the balance of supply and demand in the market. It also compensates for seasonal factors and supply and demand on long-term historical charts. Any values below 100 mean that we're in a buyer's market, and values above 100 mean we're in a seller's market. Can you guess where we sit today? We are at an all-time high of 341. But like I said, at the end of August, we've seen this chart start to level off. Let's take a look. The CMI was tracking upward as we started the year, and then it began to go down around March when we had stay-at-home orders enacted, and got all the way down to a lower level on average in May. Since May, it's continued to climb up, and we've wondered when this was going to stop. But you can see as August started and mid-August, this has started to plateau and stopped its climb upward. Even though this is plateaued, we're still at an extremely high market index at 341. Again, remember 100 is balance, so we are so far into a seller's market in ways we've never seen before. So now that you know what the overall average market index is, let's look at this number by city. I've shown this chart before, and you can see every city in the Phoenix metro area and where it ranks with the market index. On the far right column, you can see what the market index was last month, and then you can see what the market index is today. Last month, every single one of those dots were green and an arrow pointing upward. This month, we're starting to see a few of these cities decline slightly. But don't be fooled, you probably won't feel much of a difference with this. The average increase in the CMI overall is 10.2% from last month. And we still have values that are significantly high. Number one, looking at Avondale at 645. Remember, 100 is balance. Even though it decreased 8% since last month, it really didn't take it down far enough for us to see any significant changes in our day-to-day. You can see that Fountain Hills, Scottsdale, Cave Creek, and Paradise Valley are all moving strongly in a direction favorable to sellers. Surprise, Buckeye, Peoria, and Goodyear are the top performers among the more affordable areas in the valley. I love looking at that table because it really gives you a good overview of the major cities within Phoenix and which direction they're trending. So if you're a buyer, I know it feels rough, but here's some good news for you. Our affordability in Phoenix still remains very high. When we look at affordability, we want to stay in a range between 60 to 75%. That means that a household making the median income in our city can afford 60 to 75% of homes that have been sold. This measure is used on a national basis. For the US, that number sits at about 59. In essence, a family making the median income in the United States can only afford 59% of homes that have been sold, whereas in Phoenix, our number sits at 64. This shows we have a higher affordability rate here than the overall US. During the bubble between 05 and 06, we saw this number plummet from 60 down to 26 in Phoenix. Obviously, that would be a major warning sign if we were seeing that now. And typically, if this number starts to decrease, we start to see demand lessen. So as a buyer, you do have an advantage with the affordability being where it's at right now. Also, interest rates. And I've talked about this many times, but our interest rates are at historic lows right now. While the overall price of the house may be higher than it was years ago, the interest rate allows your monthly payment to be more affordable than it would be at a higher interest rate, even if the price of the house was lower. This rent versus buy chart by the Cromford Report is a great example of how interest rates affect your monthly payment. If you look on the far right, you can see that now you can purchase a home for $357,000 with an interest rate of 2.88%, and your monthly payment will be about $1,335 a month. In November of 2018, when interest rates were at 4.87%, you could buy a house that was more affordable at $303,000, but your payment would still be $1,443 a month. Therefore, with interest rates, even though prices are higher now, your monthly payment can stay similar to what it would have been for a lower price range for a house years ago. So make sure you stay on top of those interest rates if you're a buyer, because that will affect your affordability greatly. Appreciation is another thing that I want to talk about. And right now, our average appreciation in Phoenix is at 15.3%. This is on an annual basis. So think about it. If you're a buyer, although you're going against some of those higher prices, you're getting a good interest rate, and you're probably signing up for some great appreciation over the next year. In addition to knowing that homes in Phoenix are still within the affordability range. So don't lose hope if you're a buyer. There's a lot of great things happening right now that do make it a good time to buy. Appreciation is a great thing for buyers, but it's also a great thing for sellers. If our average annual appreciation is about 15.3% over the last year, sellers will be happy to know that they can get a great price for their house right now if they are thinking about selling. All the information I've shared with you in terms of these market updates have definitely shown that we're in a seller's market and it's a good time to sell. But here are a few more data points for you as a seller. Our median days on market is 8 days. So if you do decide to sell, be ready to pack quickly because it's going to be a very quick sale. We are also seeing listings closing over the asking price on 34% of closings in the month of August. The median number over the asking price is about $5,000. This varies based off of price ranges and locations, but here you can see a chart that's showing the different price ranges and how often we see homes selling over the asking price in those price ranges. It's no surprise that the $200,000 to $250,000 range takes the cake, with 46.3% of homes selling in August sold over the asking price. But you can also see 250 to 3 and 300 to 4 being some of those hot zones where you have a lot of homes selling over the asking price. So as a seller, depending on the value of your house or where you're located in the valley, you may anticipate getting an offer over your asking price. I talked a little bit at the beginning about the number of listings that we have available for sale compared to the number of listings that we have under contract. And we call this number the contract ratio. I reported last month that our contract ratio in Phoenix was about 156. Keep in mind that the average normal contract ratio is about 56. In nearly every city in Phoenix, we have more listings under contract than are available for sale, making our contract ratio for the month of August at a whopping 169. That number also helps to demonstrate how low our supply is. When I spoke in the beginning about having 1.3 months of supply, you can now understand that a little bit better when you look at the number of active listings for sale and the number of homes that are already under contract. We are seeing an increase in listings coming to the market, but they go so quickly that we can hardly count them as active listings. So as a seller, if you're thinking about selling, it really is a great time. There are few homes to choose from for buyers, which makes it very competitive on the buy side. You often see multiple offers and many that end up going over the asking price. When you see that our average sale price is up 12.5% compared to last August, and our annual appreciation rate is at 15%, if you're at all considering selling, those two numbers tell you that now is definitely a good time to get a lot of value out of your home. If you want more information from me, feel free to email or text or call me about any of this information. I can pull more specific data for either your zip code, your city, and sometimes your neighborhood as well, if it will help you make an informed decision on whether or not it's the right time to sell, or if you just want to know what's going on in your neighborhood. You can also do an instant home valuation at the link below, and I can also follow up with more of an analysis based off of the information that you provide about your home. All this information can be available for buyers too. If you're considering making an offer or you're really looking in a particular neighborhood, I can share data and pull information for those zip codes, neighborhoods, or cities to help you make a more strategic offer. Knowing the average contract price in that zip code, or maybe knowing how many of the sales are going over the list price in that zip code, would be helpful for you to know in order to make a strategic offer that puts you at an advantage compared to other buyers. Once again, I want to say thank you to the Cromford Report for compiling all this information to help me stay on top of what's going on in our market. Thank you so much for coming to my channel and watching this video. I hope it's helpful. I will be back with another weekly update next week and a monthly update at the end of September. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm Caitlin McKegg with HomeSmart.